Hey, what's up? Welcome to Degen Ed. That's degenerative education, meaning none of this is financial advice. Just me having fun looking at charts, like the chart behind me, which is of Velo3D, ticker symbol VLD. And here we are looking at it after close on Monday, March 18th, having closed on the day at a price of 43.22 cents, being up just over 2% on the day, but then continuing higher to just over 45 cents in the after hours, which represents a move of over 4%. And so where do I see the stock price going? And so there are a few levels that I could see either the price returning to or, continuing to, whether you want to think of that to the upside or the downside. And so what I see in the chart here is that on Friday of last week, March 15th, we did get this pretty big wick high up to 49 cents, and we were not able to close or go above that high on the day today, March 18th, hitting a high on the day of 48.9 cents, so being just a fraction of a penny lower than that previous high. And I do think this could suggest that there are topping signals that, the price may be pulling back. And so one thing is that while we did see a green day, the candle for the day is red because we did start higher and lower. So that does suggest to me that there could be some weakness. However, this could really just be like the spring pulling back before another attempt at 49 cents, getting up to 50 cents and higher. So I could definitely see that happening. So I do think it's going to be pretty important to see what happens with the price tomorrow. And based on what I had just said, I would say I'm leaning more towards this being a spring pulling back before a continuation higher. But I think the key that we're going to need to see, regardless of how high price goes tomorrow, I do think that it's going to be pretty important to see where the close is. We need to see a close above 49 cents to suggest that the moves higher will continue, that the momentum to the upside will continue. And so if we do not see a close above 49 cents on either Tuesday or Wednesday, I do think that we could be seeing a little bit of a pullback. And so the level that makes sense to me is right around this high that was hit on March 11th, getting a little bit of a wick up there, getting some consolidation there. If I do throw up the volume profile, it does look like that is the start of this volume shelf coming down. So I could see price returning to right around 37.38 cents, right around there, before cooling off a little bit and potentially making the next attempt at 50 cents. But I also could see price returning to 32 cents. And as I had mentioned in last week's video, I believe, I personally have an order placed at 32 cents. And I can't remember the exact day that I put out that video. I believe it was Monday, March 11th. I suggested that 32 cents could be a nice level to pick up some shares. And just a couple days later, so Wednesday of last week, on the 13th, we did get a pullback to a low on the day of exactly 32 cents. I happened to have an order placed at 32 cents for that day, but unfortunately it was not filled. But for me, at least as far as my risk management goes, I'm just leaving my order there and I'm going to wait. Maybe price never comes back to 32 cents. That's fine. I'm cheering for the stock. I'm cheering for those holding it. But for me, I placed the order there and I'm just going to be patient. I'm just going to wait for it to happen. And if it doesn't, that's fine. But as I mentioned, this volume shelf here, it does look more pronounced right around 32 cents. So I could see that as a level that price might be pulling back to. And if it does, I'm going to be ready for it. If it doesn't, that's fine. And if price does pull back to 32 cents, I could see it actually going a little bit lower, maybe going down to 30 cents. And so for that reason, that is based on this downtrend that I have drawn here, based on the high of January 5th, as well as the high hit on February 16th. You could think of that as a little bit arbitrary. We did get an open above it on January 8th and also got some wicks up to it. So, with that being said, it does seem like it was a notable level of resistance. Couldn't get any closes above the level in this time frame until just recently when we broke out. So if price is to pull back, I'm going to be ready for it at 32 cents, 31, and 30 cents. But, if that doesn't happen and this is a spring pullback before launching higher, I could definitely see price getting up to around 60 cents, which would correspond to filling this gap that was formed between December 27th and 28th when there was this gap down here. And, if it does reclaim 60 cents, I could also see it moving much, much higher to $1.38, corresponding with this gap up here. So, if it doesn't pull back to 32 cents, I'm potentially missing out on a lot. But, that factors into my risk management. Part of that risk is acknowledging that I might be missing out. But there are tons of other stocks for me to get involved in. So, I will be doing that. And also, I do want to note that earnings are coming up on March 26th. So, if the price is overextended, perhaps well above 60 cents, it is quite possible there could be a pullback following earnings. Or, if there is a drawdown before earnings, that could be a great opportunity to pick up some shares before a potential launch following earnings. And before I close this video, I did want to point out that this downtrending line corresponds with an inverse head and shoulders that I had pointed out, I believe, in last week's video. And if I do take a measurement from the base of that head to the neckline and move it to the break of that neckline, that represents a price of right around 46 cents. And price did get up to that level, hitting a high, like I said, of 49 cents. So I do view this as somewhat risky now with a little bit of topping signals here with those wicks up and this move being complete, this measured move being complete. But, like I also said, this could be a spring pullback before moving higher. So, I do think that it is cheap relative to prices that I do foresee it being in the future. 60 cents, if not more than twice that at $1.38 up here. But I do think that it is quite possible we could be seeing discounted prices right around 32 cents. So that's what I'm waiting for. But, you got to do you. And, those are just my thoughts. If you found them helpful, make sure you like the video, share your thoughts in the comments down below, and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. Thanks a lot for watching.